dream of reviving lost eras. Have you ever imagined walking through a park where real dinosaurs roam just a few meters away? It sounds like something straight out of a science fiction film, but today, scientists are closer than ever to making that dream a reality. From dinosaurs and woolly mammoths to bird species that vanished millions of years ago, humanity is no longer merely an observer of evolutionary history, but is gradually becoming its rewriter. But are we tampering with nature? Or is this the next great leap in science and biotechnology? Join us on a journey to uncover the experiments, ambitions, and ethical questions surrounding the revival of life from the brink of extinction. Part 2: Resurrection through Technology, Cloning and De-extinction. We once believed that death was the final boundary, but today, biotechnology is challenging that idea. Terms like de-extinction, bringing extinct species back to life, and cloning, biological duplication, are no longer just science fiction. So how far have we really come? Cloning, biological replication. From Dolly the sheep to the dinosaur dream. In 1996, the world witnessed a breakthrough in biology. Dolly the sheep, the first mammal successfully cloned from an adult somatic cell. This event opened the door to even bolder ambitions, reviving extinct creatures. One notable effort occurred in 2003, when the Pyrenean ibex, also known as the bucardo, a species that had gone completely extinct, was cloned using preserved DNA stored in liquid nitrogen. The cloned ibex was successfully born, but survived only 7 minutes before dying due to lung defects. This marked the first ever case of de-extinction in history, although brief. It proved that the technique was indeed possible. CRISPR and gene editing, altering the genetic code of the living. A more advanced approach involves gene editing, using CRISPR-Cas9 technology to insert genes from extinct species into the DNA of their closest living relatives. Leading the effort, Professor George Church, Harvard University, USA. At the forefront of this effort is Professor George Church, who is spearheading a project to revive the woolly mammoth. His method involves gene editing the DNA of Asian elephants, the closest living relatives of mammoths, to insert mammoth traits such as thick fur, small ears, and cold-resistant blood. The goal is to create a mammoth-elephant hybrid, capable of surviving in cold environments like Siberia. In 2021, the biotech company Colossal Biosciences was founded with over $75 million in investment to make this plan a reality by 2027. Why is reviving the woolly mammoth important? You might think this is just about recreating history, but it could actually help save the planet. According to ecologists, mammoths once helped maintain the mammoth steppe, a cold grassland ecosystem that stabilized the climate and helped preserve permafrost. Reviving mammoths could slow down permafrost melting and reduce methane emissions, a potent greenhouse gas. What about dinosaurs? Can they be revived? Unfortunately, the answer, for now, is no. Unlike mammoths, which went extinct about 4.000 years ago, dinosaurs disappeared over 65 million years ago. DNA cannot survive that long, not even in fossils or amber. However, some scientists are exploring indirect methods like reverse evolution, taking birds, descendants of dinosaurs, and genetically altering them to express ancient traits like tails, claws, or teeth. One of the most well-known projects is led by Professor Jack Horner, the scientific advisor behind Jurassic Park. He has researched the creation of a chickenosaurus by modifying chicken embryos to activate dormant dinosaur genes. Challenges and controversies. Are we playing God? The technical achievements are undeniable, but they also raise numerous ethical questions. If a creature is revived into a world no longer suited for it, is it truly alive? Do we have the right to bring a species back solely for research or entertainment? And most importantly, are we prepared to take responsibility for what we are now capable of creating? Cloning and resurrection are no longer fiction. They are becoming reality, and fast. The question is no longer, can we? But, what should we revive, and why? In our hands now lies a power once reserved for mythical gods, and every decision we make will shape the future of biology, and of the planet itself. Part 3: Legendary Creatures. Myth or genetic memory? We often think of beings like dragons, elves, centaurs, unicorns, or mermaids as pure fantasy. But what if they're not? What if the stories about them, repeated across civilizations, are not fiction, but actually collective memory, or even genetic memory from a time when they may have really existed? The theory of genetic memory, imprints stored in human DNA. The concept of genetic memory suggests that certain information, especially images, reflexes, or fears, can be passed down across generations via genes. One famous example comes from a 2013 study by Emory University in the US. Mice were exposed to the scent of cherry blossoms while being mildly electro-shocked. Their offspring, who never experienced the pain, still showed fear responses to the same scent. This shows that experiences can be encoded into DNA and become genetic memory. So, could images of dragons, fairies, or giants be remnants of actual ancestral experiences, or even memories from a lost civilization before modern humanity? Dragons, global myth or unrecorded prehistoric reptile? Dragons appear in the myths of nearly every culture. China, long, divine beings governing rain, water, and the sky. Europe, dragons, giant flying beasts, fire-breathing, often guarding treasure. Aztecs, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god. Hinduism, Naga, multi-headed serpent deities living underground or underwater. Despite variations in form, they all describe large reptilian, flying creatures that live for thousands of years. Why is this motif so universally widespread? A theory suggests that dragons are faded memories from when humans coexisted with prehistoric creatures. Although modern science dismisses the idea that humans and dinosaurs lived at the same time, it's possible that flying reptiles like pterosaurs survived longer in isolated regions, leaving behind fragments of collective memory about them. Fairies and supernatural beings, fantasy or forgotten species. In Celtic and Norse folklore, creatures like fairies and elves are small beings who live apart from humans, often hiding in forests or misty fields. Similarly, Asian cultures speak of forest spirits, female woodland ghosts, or celestial beings. Anthropologist Dr. Jack Hunter, University of Wales, believes that many such legends may originate from ancient human tribes who lived in isolation and were physically or linguistically distinct, eventually mythologized over time. Some researchers also point to the possible existence of diminutive human species such as Homo floresiensis, who stood about 1 meter tall and lived in Indonesia around 50,000 years ago. Could they be the real-life fairies remembered in ancestral memory? Mermaids and Atlantis, humanity's shared dream? Mermaids appear in myths from the Middle East to Europe, Japan to West Africa, as half-human, half-fish beings who dwell in the ocean and have the power to lure, save, or destroy. Scientists like Stephen Benner, an expert in evolutionary biology, have proposed the aqua ape hypothesis, suggesting that humans evolved from semi-aquatic ancestors. This could explain traits like subcutaneous fat, breath-holding ability, and upright posture. Though not widely accepted, this hypothesis raises a question. Could there have once been a branch of humanity adapted to life underwater? Atlantis, the lost continent described by Plato, is often said to be home to such aquatic or semi-divine beings. Was it mere legend, or a buried collective memory? Collective mind and shared unconscious, Jung and the recurrence of myths. Renowned psychologist Carl Jung introduced the idea of the collective unconscious, a part of the human mind that holds symbolic memories shared across generations. Symbols like dragons, giants, and angels may arise from the depths of our psyche, or possibly from real experiences encoded into those symbols over time. Myth or memory. If a creature appears not just in one culture, but in many cultures worldwide, it's unlikely to be purely imagined. Whether from real encounters, prehistoric species, or a long-lost civilization, legendary creatures may be fragments of ancient human memory, hidden deep in our DNA and collective consciousness. Part 4: The future of our world. Can we handle their return? What if extinct creatures, or mythical beings, actually returned one day? Would humanity be ready to face such a reality? Could modern science, culture, ethics, even Earth's current ecosystem, handle the return of beings from another era? Can science control them? Many scientists warn that reviving ancient species is not just about resurrecting an individual. It's about reintroducing an entirely different creature into today's environment. If woolly mammoths were revived, they would require extremely cold climates and massive amounts of food. But the Siberian tundra has already changed due to climate change. If carnivorous dinosaurs were brought back, they could be catastrophic. With their predatory instincts and fierce physiology, they would have no natural enemies today. Even George Church, the geneticist behind the colossal biosciences project aiming to revive mammoths, admits, "We can't be certain that a resurrected creature will behave exactly like the original." Can ecosystems withstand the invasion? Every extinct species once played a role in the food chain and ecological balance of its time. Bringing them back might cause unintended consequences. The Xerces blue butterfly went extinct due to habitat loss. If revived but its host plants are gone, it will go extinct again. Dire wolves, if revived, could fiercely compete with modern predators like gray wolves or big cats. Conservationists like Beth Shapiro, author of How to Clone a Mammoth, argue that reviving ancient species isn't just a technological achievement, it's an ethical, ecological, and cultural decision. Are humans truly aware and responsible enough? A resurrected species cannot return to its original era. It must survive in a human-dominated world. If Neanderthals, ancient human ancestors, were recreated, would they have citizenship, legal rights? If mythical creatures like dragons, centaurs, or mermaids were one day created through future biotechnology, how would we classify them? As experimental subjects, or as sentient beings? This is no longer science fiction, but a pressing issue in transhumanist ethics, a topic of active debate among philosophers and scientists alike. Unforeseen threats. We don't truly know what we are bringing back. Ancient viruses or bacteria could be hidden in the DNA of resurrected species, far beyond the reach of modern medicine. Some creatures could overpopulate and become invasive. If cloned and accidentally released, they might multiply uncontrollably, like the infamous cane toads in Australia. And for mythical creatures, if one day we could biologically recreate them based on ancient descriptions, would they be a miracle or a disaster? The future, a hybrid world? We are entering an era where science can reconstruct the past and redesign the future. Imagine a world where dinosaurs roam bioparks like in Jurassic Park. Woolly mammoths are restored to Arctic landscapes to combat climate change. Creatures once thought to be legends emerge from the shadows. Dragons engineered with genes for scales and flight. Mermaids created from hybrid DNA of humans and aquatic animals. We may be living in a post-ecological, post-mythological world, where humans become creators of life. Yet, without caution, this could also become a new era of chaos, where past, present, and future collide. Should we do something just because we can? When beings once believed to exist only in myths or memories return, is the world truly ready to welcome them? Part 5 is science approaching the creation of new mythology. Imagine a future where creatures from ancient legends are no longer figments of imagination, but the product of genetic engineering, artificial intelligence, and scientific advances beyond our current understanding. Could it be that in the post-human era, humans themselves will be the ones writing new mythologies, not through stories, but through science? When gene technology turns myth into reality. CRISPR-Cas9, a highly precise gene editing tool, allows scientists to rewrite DNA, much like programming computer code. For example, in 2020, researchers at Harvard University used gene editing to create super mice with enhanced muscle density and reduced fatigue. The company Colossal Biosciences not only aims to bring back the woolly mammoth, but to genetically enhance it into a new mammoth, adapted to modern climates. If we can edit DNA to add scales, wings, underwater breathing, or bioluminescence, then could creatures like mermaids, dragons, or centaurs really be that far-fetched? New mythology may no longer arise from imagination, but from synthetic biology, where humans create lifeforms that never existed before. Artificial intelligence and artificial consciousness, the new soul of myth. In ancient myths, gods, sacred beasts, and divine beings possessed supernatural intelligence. Today, the closest equivalent is artificial intelligence. Modern AI systems like GPT-4, Claude, Gemini, etc. can write stories and create mythological or philosophical content like a classical author, communicate in natural language, learn, and adapt through feedback, analyze data from millions of texts to produce philosophical or religious insights. As AI merges with biological robotics, gaining the ability to create and make autonomous decisions, we are left to ask, could a superintelligent AI be worshipped as a new god in the future? Could it become the author of humanity's digital doctrines? Metaverse and the digital universe, the new realm of mythology? With the rapid development of VR, AR, blockchain, and generative AI, we are witnessing a profound transformation. Mythology no longer needs to be real to exist. It can live within the metaverse, a digital universe where humans interact via avatars, think in data, and feel through simulated algorithms. Examples: Epic Games has developed Unreal Engine 5, capable of creating virtual worlds so visually realistic that they are nearly indistinguishable from reality. Numerous creative teams are building entire mythological universes with rich character systems, lore, and laws of operation, all inside digital platforms, drawing millions of users into interactive participation. Poseidon of the future might be an AI entity living in a virtual ocean, ruling over a digital climate, and worshipped by citizens of the metaverse. New mythology, a symbol of hope, or a dangerous delusion? But not everyone agrees with this vision. Many philosophers, scientists, and ethicists warn. These new, technological myths may replace ancient beliefs with systems that lack solid moral foundations. Creating a wondrous being does not mean we understand or control it. Blind faith in AI, genetic engineering, and the metaverse could cause humanity to lose its identity and true spiritual awareness. Yuval Noah Harari, author of Homo Deus, once stated, "Our generation may be the first to create gods, rather than worship them." But is that a miracle, or a potential catastrophe for humanity itself? If ancient civilizations told myths as warnings, then the mythology of the future will be written by ourselves. The question is no longer whether mythology exists, but rather, are we creating new myths without realizing it?